Good afternoon, people. ¿Cómo estás? This is Jay Real with the Average Joe Sports Talk Show, welcoming you to a Friday edition of the show. And man, we have a lot of information to cover and a lot of sports. So we're just going to dive right on in. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the NBA. George Karl, who just won this past season Coach of the Year with the Denver Nuggets, is out as coach of the Nuggets. That is right. He is no longer going to be the coach. He opted out of his last year of his contract. How that will play out, only their higher executives and him will know. Now, what does this mean for George Karl? Well, he is one of the top-rated coaches. As I just said just a bit ago, he just got Coach of the Year. Now, him not being the coach leaves them in a bad way because they also don't have a general manager right now. So they've lost two of their key positions in their daily operations when running this organization. George Karl is going to be a sought-after name as a head coach for next season if he decides to coach. We also know George Karl's recently battled some serious physical issues. It's going to be kind of interesting to find out if he is going to take a coaching job for next season. If he does, where might he end up? Well, the Clippers are needing a coach in LA. They are set prime for a good coach to jump in and them to do very well. As we know, they made it to the playoffs. Unfortunately, got knocked out first round. But the Clippers are right there on the cusp of knocking it up to that next level of the upper echelon of teams. And with a good head coach like George Karl, they could be right there. You also got the Brooklyn Nets. Again, a good team, solid. They've got their prime pieces in position. All they need is that big name head coach, a good coach, to again push them up into that upper level. And then finally, one of the other teams we're looking at is possibly the 76ers. That being the last spot we could see George Karl going. They aren't as set up as the other two teams as we just mentioned. But you never know. They need a head coach too. Money talks. And if George Karl is looking for a job, I'm sure he's not going to have any problem finding one for next season if he decides to do so. Now, moving on with the NBA, the finals start tonight. That's right, the championship is on the move this evening. The Miami Heat, the big pinnacle team, the built team to win championships, is in the finals, along with, you got your little lonely Spurs, a small networking team, a small market team, I should say. The two are going to clash, and how's this going to play out? Well, here we're going to just say right now, you have two guys going to make a mark on their name and their legacy, and this is the way we're going to break it down. You got Tim Duncan going for 5 possible rings. That would legitimize his place in the history as a Hall of Famer, as a champion, and it would put him right up there with a lot of other players that have 5 rings, Kobe Bryant being one. Then you got over here the mecca of teams, the championship, apple picked, cherry picked, whatever you want to call it, team led off by LeBron James, who's been in 3 NBA Finals in the last 3 years. Won one last year, going for number 2. And how's he going to look at this? This is going to legitimize his brand, his name, his legacy to push for that second championship. So you got 2 guys going to be battling it out, leading their teams. I'm so excited I can barely talk. This game tonight is so important. You got the 2 big guys leading their team. And this is all we got to say here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. If the Spurs can take the lead, stay ahead a game, maybe even 2 to really make a good cushion, we give them a solid chance of winning this finals. But if the Heat take game 1 and put the Spurs on their heels, we're going to just go ahead and just say it. You know, it's going to be tough to overcome the Heat when you're coming from behind. So we are really going to be pushing for the Spurs, the little guys. We're going for the underdog. We want the little guys to win here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. Not that we don't think the Miami Heat are great. They were built for greatness. They were built to be champions. That's what they are. But we're going to go with the natural style. We're going to go with the old school way of building a team, the way we prefer it, and that's the Spurs. So we're going to be pushing for the Spurs. It's going to be tough, though. It's going to be an uphill battle. Now, out of both of these teams, there's only one loser right now, and unfortunately, as the report came out on MSN Sports, we saw earlier, poor Colby is sitting at home losing ground on his legacy because they're not playing in this final game, in the final championship. But it'll be interesting to see. He still has maybe another year or two. He's trying his hardest. This guy would probably sell his soul to win another championship, to be right up there in the same bracket with Michael Jordan. But as we all know, no one can top Michael Jordan. He's just the best of all time and will always be. So leaving that behind, we're going to jump right in. We're not going to cut away to break. We're going to jump right into NFL and my team. Pittsburgh Steelers are in a world of hurt. Right off the bat, Big Ben Roethlisberger will not be making training camp, mini camp this year, or at least for right now, because he's having surgery on his knee. This guy has an ensemble of injuries. From shoulder, toe, nose. I mean, if you could break an ear, Big Ben would probably have broken both his ears by now. This guy's a mess, and all I can hope for, and all of us in Steeler Nation, is that he could get healthy, even at 80%, 90%, something, because him playing at 50% is not going to help us, as we saw last year. Too many turnovers, too many interceptions, and he just can't. He can't be fluent with his routes, and he can't be fluent with him trying to use his escapability to extend the plays and throw down the field like he's used to doing, because he's just too hurt. And we need Big Ben back at some place around 80% for us to be successful this year. Because I'll tell you what, all of us in Steeler Nation, yes, we've got 2 championships over the last few years. And believe me, I'm happy with that. I'm totally content with that. But we're greedy. As my boy in Arizona, JV Money, says, Steeler fans are greedy when it comes to championships. We want them all, and I totally agree. Us as Steeler Nation, we want to win every championship possible, every year if possible. But right now we're looking really banged up with our quarterback position. Hopefully Big Ben will get that worked out, and we'll do fine this year. Now there are so many other teams we need to talk about. We got the Pats, who are looking really good, and they look good every year. Again, with their sensational quarterback, Tom Brady, behind center. They'll be up there. But the 2 teams that are really sticking out to us here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show are Denver. I mean, the Broncos there in Denver are looking stacked. This will be a second year for Peyton Manning to gel with his offense. And as we all know, that guy can call the plays. He could be the coach on the field as well as the coach off the field. This guy is phenomenal, and the Denver Broncos are looking tough, very tough. And then we got over in the Bay Area, West Coast, your 49ers. If they can get their rookie quarterback, well, actually not rookie, I'm sorry, but rookie, first time he got on the field was last year. He was actually a second-year player, but this guy, Colin Kaepernick, this guy is phenomenal. If he can have any success like they did last year, this new season, look out for the 49ers in San Francisco. Those guys are going to be tough to beat. And then just to throw in the mix, just to stir it up a little bit, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Atlanta Falcons should be at the top. They should be at the end of the season, right there, ready to make a Super Bowl playoff appearance if they can stop choking up the big games. My gosh, I mean, this team is so frustrating, as I said many times before. They should have not only been in the Super Bowl last year, they should have won it. So this year we're going to hope that they can go over that hurdle and that hump of choking up big games and get into the Super Bowl and make that appearance. That's where we're going to leave the NFL. Now, we do got to cut away for a quick break because when we get back, the last part of the show is going to be big on UFC and what's going on in the UFC world, because there's a lot of things going on. And we're going to touch a little bit before we get into that on Major League Baseball, because, my gosh, the crap is about to hit the fan in a big way for a lot of players. And it's really too bad, because a lot of these players had big names, had a big following, had big fan support, and now it's down the tubes. It's unbelievable. And I know everyone's saying, what tubes? Well, the crapper tubes, the toilet tubes. It's just too bad. So anyway, we're going to cut away to break. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot of show and some cool stuff coming up for this Friday show. So Jay Real is going to sign out for right now. See you on the flip side. All right, welcome back from the break. We're going to dive right into the UFC talk, and there is so much going on. We had to get our expert, Shannon, with us. What's up, girl?
Nothing. What's going on?
Well, we've been doing a little bit of investigating, I should say, into some of the UFC rumors we've been hearing about over the last week or so. So we wanted to get with you and get some of your cuts and takes and see if you knew what was going on a little bit more than us. And the first one is, they have just announced that Shell Shonen and Marcos Hua will be doing the first Fox, a new network fight for Fox First. They're going to open up and be the main event. What do you think?
The main event for say that again?
They're going to be the main event for a new network, which is Fox First. They've already been signed up and set up with Fox, but there's a new, I guess it's a new network. It's called Fox First, or Fox One, and the first pay-per-view, the first event for UFC to be held on that network is going to be Shell Shonen against Marcos Hua.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. And what do you think? What kind of, you think that's going to be a good matchup?
It'll be a good matchup, but I'm kind of surprised. I guess it doesn't really surprise me all that much that Shell Shonen's going to take that fight, because he did say after he lost that last fight that the only way he was going to not retire is if there was something he could do to move up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like a big, publicity thing for Shell Shonen.
Well, I was kind of surprised, because Marcos Hua, to me, is right on the cusp of being, and right on the, he's right there close to being like a #1 contender, isn't he?
Yeah, he is pretty close to being up there. So it should be a pretty good fight. This is the first I'm actually hearing of it, so, but it does sound like it'll be a pretty good fight. So we'll just have to kind of watch and see.
Yeah, we were pretty surprised. Not that Shell Shonen would fight anyone, but the fact that on a new network, first ever UFC event on that network, they're going to put Shell Shonen on as a main event.
It kind of surprises me that they're going to open that event with Shell Shonen when there's like a cajillion other fighters that they could open an event like that with.
Yeah. No, we just wanted to get your cut on that, because it was kind of surprising to us. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we're going to have to watch the fight. And I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb, and I've seen Marcos Hua fight, and if he shows up the way he can, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a really rough night for Chael Sonnen.
Probably, and like I said, Chael Sonnen is getting ready to retire, so if he loses a fight on a big opening network night like that, it probably will send him into retirement if he loses that fight.
That's a good point. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because that would be what, 2 or 3 fights in a row he lost, right?
I think the one he just had was second in a row. So if he loses this one, it will be, I think it'll be the third in a row.
Yeah.
And for him to lose a big, huge opening fight like that, it'll throw him right into retirement.
Yeah.
Like, he's already talking about retiring anyways, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So, it kind of surprises me. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he took the fight because Chael Sonnen will just not take a fight with anybody.
Yeah.
But I think probably the only reason he did take the fight this time is, because it is the only way for him to move up without fighting something, it's like the next big thing for him.
Yeah.
And so, but if he does lose, he'll be done.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's already talking about going into retirement anyways.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, other news that just came out is Rampage Jackson just signed a huge multi-year deal with Bellator, MMA, and TNA Wrestling, who's also with Spike TV. So I guess either he is going to plan on being the next Brock Lesnar of the WWE, but in TNA Wrestling, because I don't see why he would want to fight in their Bellator MMA, because he's already fought the best in the world with the UFC. What do you think?
Again, it sounds like a publicity thing for him, because it doesn't make any sense to me to go from UFC to Bellator, because you usually go from Bellator to UFC, so it sounds like he's taking a step back to me, and it just sounds like a big publicity stunt for him also. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well,
because Rampage Jackson hasn't even been in the octagon for forever, man. I haven't even seen him fight forever. And so this is the only way, I guess, he's still thinking of his name out there again. But to go from UFC to Bellator, that's like going back to an X or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to do MMA. I honestly think he's going to try to make it big in TNA Wrestling.
Yeah, but why would you want to do that when wrestling is fake, dude? It's not even...
But, sweetie, money talks. And look at
money talks and bullshit rocks, I know, but still, it's just a publicity thing for all of them at this freaking point, which I'm not sure why. Here's why. Because all these younger fighters are coming into the UFC. They got all these reality shows and everything that they're doing with these younger fighters.
Right.
So all these younger fighters are coming in and it's pushing the older fighters about to retire. So they're having to do all this other crap to get their publicity and make their money.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We just thought it was interesting that right off the bat he goes with the UFC's #1 hated competitor in Bellator MMA with Spike TV and all those guys.
Yeah, it's just a publicity thing for him because I haven't even heard anything from Rampage Jackson in forever, man.
Yeah, no, we agree. Okay, and then finally, girl, this is the big news. Reports have been circling around the UFC world that supposedly in the works right now is a super fight between Anderson Silva and John Jones Bones, that they would do a super fight in the Cowboy Stadium with a record-breaking attendance people to fill that stadium.
Wow, when is that supposed to be?
Well, it's right now just an initial talks, but what I wanted to talk to you about is, yes, everyone would love to see this fight, but I'm kind of looking at it as a big disadvantage right now as of today for Anderson Silva than John Jones, even though I believe Jones would have to move down in weight. Because I believe John Jones is the light heavyweight champion and Anderson Silva is the middleweight champion, I believe, right?
I think so. John Jones is going to be the one that's going to have to move weight, I think. Because I actually thought that, yeah, you're right, because John Jones is a light heavyweight, and then Anderson Silva is the middleweight. So he's actually going to have to move up in weight.
See, this is my problem. Anderson Silva to me is at the point where he's starting to work his way down in his career, when John Jones to me is still working on his way up.
Okay.
What do you think? I mean, am I like crazy thinking that? I mean, Anderson Silva's what, in his early 30s now?
He's in his early 30s, but here's the thing, is that since Anderson Silva came over to the UFC, because he used to fight in the cage fight, and since Anderson Silva came over to the cage fights, he has been undefeated in the UFC. Now, Anderson Silva does have 4 losses on the book way back in the day. Way back in the day, he does have 4 losses on his MMA record, but none of them are in the UFC. They were back in the cage fight. Since he came to the UFC, he has not lost one fight. And there's only been like maybe one fight that was even close, that if this one happened or that one happened, you know, the other competitor would have beat him. But should-haves, could-haves, and would-haves don't get us anywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, at the end of the day, Anderson Silva is still at the top. And John Jones is still at the top of his career, too. Because Anderson Silva hasn't lost anything in the UFC, so that makes him still one of the top. Like, I've been watching UFC for probably 12 years now, and I've never seen somebody stay on top as long as Anderson Silva has.
Right. No, and I totally agree with you. That is well said and well put, because I think Anderson Silva will eventually end up being that fighter that's like 1 in 10 million, where, you know, if he does end up retiring sometime, it'll be like with that one big loss in the UFC, or possibly none. But I just...
Well, and me personally, when Anderson Silva started out, I was a huge Anderson Silva fan. I'm not so much anymore. He's gotten really cocky, and I just don't like his attitude anymore. I would love to see just one fighter freaking hand him his ass. It would be just awesome to me. But there is still a lot of Anderson Silva fans out there that think he's never going to lose a fight. But my thought is you can't win them all, dude. At some point, you are going to get a beat down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And this is I'm a Silva guy. I wasn't when he fought Victor Belfort. I thought I was going for Victor Belfort just because I love the Phenom. I always did. But I just have a feeling if he picks a fight or gets this fight with John Jones, will be the guy that hands him his ass.
I have no doubt that John Jones will hand Anderson Silva his ass. I think he will be the one. I think he's the only one in the UFC that has any chance of even beating Anderson Silva. The reason being is that they both have very similar fight styles.
Exactly.
But the fact of the matter is that John Jones, he is a lot younger than Anderson Silva.
Exactly.
And he is up and coming in the UFC. And I think if there is anybody in the UFC right now that is a fair competitor, like the next fight Anderson Silva has coming up, he's fighting, sure, I know his name, let me think about it. But anyways, it's not, you look at the fight that Anderson Silva has coming up and it's like, really, dude, I can't believe they even think this is going to be a fair fight.
Hey, but wait a minute. Wait, not to cut you off, but this is the guy that everyone's been saying that'll be his best matchup yet, and it's this guy that's undefeated, right?
Damn it, what's the guy's name, Jesse?
I know who you're talking about, but I agree with you. I think he's just getting led to the slaughter.
I can't think of his name right now, but I know it's coming up in July, and I don't know how anybody could say that he's the one that's gonna even give Anderson Silva a run for his money. Are you kidding me?
I know.
Wyman. It's Wyman. That's who he's fighting.
Yes, Wyman. Yes.
Wyman. And are you kidding? Dude, it's a joke. It's like, I'm floored that anybody would even say that that's even anywhere close to like a freaking fair fight. You know what be John Jones, hands down. And not only will John Jones give him a run for his money, I think he will hand in his ass.
Yeah.
I think that may be his only loss in the UFC.
If they fight,
to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, and I agree.
Fight.
Yeah, I agree. But we just wanted to get with you because we had heard the rumors start swirling around that they are working on this to happen in the Cowboys Stadium with the largest crowd in attendance ever. Probably the largest pay-per-view
that
ever.
Would be awesome. Also, since we're on the phone, I saw this thing. It's about to start on FX, and it's Pick Your Coach. And Randy Couture's on it. A whole bunch of the retired fighters are on there, and they're going to teach some of these guys how to fight MMA. And you get to pick your coach. The fighter gets to pick the coach they want to coach them through the fight. I think it's going to be really awesome.
Oh yeah, that does sound cool. All right. Hey, real quick before I let you go, did you happen to see that Victor Belfort fight a couple weeks ago?
I did. I think. I'm hardly ever sober when I watch the fight.
Well, he was supposedly fighting that guy that was like the next big thing, and he was just this arrogant-looking guy, and
has he even fought yet, or is that the fight that's coming up on the 15th?
No, they fought already, and the guy got kicked right in the face with a roundhouse, and he got knocked out. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and it was a really good fight.
Yeah, so I just like Victor Belfort. I love the phenom. I mean, he's like 36 years old, but, the guy's still out there.
He's kind of like Randy Couture was. Like, Randy Couture was still fighting, in his 40s, man, and he's still got ass, you know what I mean?
What?
And I think Victor Belfort will be the same type of deal, you know what I mean? He'll fight for many more years, I think.
Yeah. Well, we just wanted to touch base with you. We had heard all these rumors and swirling around events coming up, and we wanted to get your cut on them. So we thank you so much, Shannon, for tuning in with us and taking a minute of your time with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jesse. Take it easy.
All right, sweetie. We will see you.
All right, bye.
All right. That was Shannon, our UFC expert, coming in the house, giving us her cut on the UFC. Now, we are just going to go ahead and jump right into our final segment and our wrap-up, which is going to be Major League Baseball as we do our wrap-up. Why are we going to do Major League Baseball? Because we got to say Ryan Braun and A-Rod are in some serious heat. It has finally came to light that they got the MLB has a star witness willing to testify against the two-star athletes and put them right in the mix of the PED scandal. Now, what Major League Baseball is trying to do is they're trying to get it to where they are going to ban these guys from the sport. This is getting so crazy now. We don't have all the information. We just know that Major League Baseball is on a very serious investigation, and they are headhunting guys. Not only is A-Rod and Braun in trouble, they're not alone. You got Milky Cabrera, who they're looking at. Nelson Cruz and Bartola Colon are some of the big names in Major League Baseball that could be impacted by this investigation. And there's many more, up to 20 players. 20 players that could be involved with this investigation when it's all said and done. Man, baseball. We thought the steroid thing was over, 10, 15 years ago with McGuire and Sosa and Bonds. It just goes to show you, folks, if you're a baseball fan, just keep your eyes right here. If you are a baseball fan, you have to know and look at the way that things have played out over the last 20 years that you could probably go back as far as you want, and there's been some kind of help for athletics to be huge successes when it comes to professional sports. People want to get on Bonds and McGuire and Sammy Sosa and all these guys because they are supposedly the ones that introduced steroids and performance enhancement drugs to baseball. Give me a freaking break. That stuff's been going on way before they came around, and it's going to be going on way after they've stopped playing baseball. It's right here. The facts are here. Please. All I got to say is enjoy baseball. If these guys are juicing, these guys are juicing. To me, personally, what are you going to do? You're going to hate every athletic sport because of guys that use performance enhancement drugs? You might as well not even watch sports. It goes from cycling with Lance Armstrong, football, wrestling, baseball. Please. We are just going to say enjoy your sport, enjoy the people that play it. Don't start throwing stones at someone that gets busted for anything, because you know what? You're all our heroes that we believe in and that we think are bulletproof eventually come tumbling down. And it's a sad story if you look at it from that point of view. We choose not to. We choose to look at the era of the sport and say, hey, these guys were the best of the best at that particular time, in that particular era. And we're not going to pick and choose who we want to like and dislike because of PEDs or whatever. We like the athlete. We think they're stars on their own. Unfortunately, some people look at it a little bit differently. Everyone has a right to enjoy the sports the way they choose to and pass it down to their kids and show them the way they want to look at sports. That's the great thing about sports. It's all individuality and how you want to look at it. So for right now, we're going to sign up on this Friday edition. Hopefully Major League Baseball has it wrong and we don't have all of these star athletes getting busted and getting thrown into the kicked in front of the bus, as we like to say, when it comes to PEDs, and that we can keep these guys in the spotlight. And who knows? Time will tell. Right now, J. Real is going to say peace and much love. We'll see you next week on Tuesday's show. Don't forget to tune in. Leave feedback, comment. Get with the Player Zone, our sponsors. We love them. We can't do without them. We can't do without Right On Time Air and Delivery Service for hooking us up with the house, coming to you in your house. Peace and much love. See you next time. J. Real.